Welcome you guys to another episode of TJU on Air. I know they just keep coming and they won't stop anytime soon. Today I have an old friend, a big fan, and someone that's been in my videos before. Jared, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Nate.
Yeah, how you doing today, man?
It's actually been a pretty good day. I looked for jobs,
That's
and
not a bad thing, dude. Looking for work is always good. So
yeah,
let's I'm gonna give everyone because I know your story very well. So a quick little rundown is I met Jared when he was with his girlfriend at the
hmm
time who was pregnant, and we made some videos together. We even did a fundraiser at one point. Um, and there was a long period of time where he was homeless on the streets. Now, Jared's actually doing a lot better, has custody of his son,
hmm
and is here to tell a story. Your time on the streets and experiences you had out there and what that
well,
was like, if that's okay.
well, when you met us, for example, was probably one of the worst winters
Yeah.
that Reno had. Blizzards every single day, and we were in the tent, the little tent outside, like North McCarran area,
Mhm.
um, and freaking freezing. We had our dog, um, but it was really crappy, and there was a lack of trust between us, and so it just ended up continuing to make the situation a worse situation for us instead of us being able to make a better situation for us.
Yeah.
And then I mean, we met you, and we are kind of skittish at first because we deal with a lot of uh, jerk people every day,
Rough
and
characters out there.
yeah, and you came up and asked us what we needed, and it tripped us out really bad. But yeah, I mean, we're so thankful that we trusted you to come back.
That was,
Um,
like, really cool, and I remember at that moment, I remember when I got you guys the wagon, and that
mhm.
was, like, the first double-decker wagon I'd bought in anybody,
Yeah, I see
and
it
you
in
were
your
like,
videos all the
"We have a
time.
car."
Yeah.
Yeah, you were so stoked to have some set of wheels to carry things around.
Yeah, I see you get those carts for people, and I'm like, "That's a freaking badass cart right there, dude."
Yeah,
I'm like, "That's gonna get them through some stuff."
you remember it well.
Like, yeah, yeah, everything.
How did you become homeless? Where did it start for you?
We ended up or like the first time before,
For you?
because I was homeless when I met Rebecca,
Yeah, so
and
how did that start?
I was working at the Silver Legacy and had just come up to Reno, and I ended up getting sick with COVID, and I couldn't come into work for a little bit, and I called him and told him. And then right after COVID, I got the flu, and it just made me even worse. And so eventually I went and I was like, I don't want to keep taking up your guys' time. Like, I'm going to withdraw my employment until I'm either better and I can come talk to you guys or something. And they were like, that's fine. Freaking just turn in all your stuff. And so I was in an apartment at the time with two of my old friends, Devin and Davon, and we were all splitting the bills three ways, and it was good until I got sick, and then I went to work for Allied at Cares Campus and was like maintaining and doing good, and
So
then
that was security at the homeless shelter.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which is ironic because I've
Yeah.
went there so many times. But it ended up one of the clients that was at the homeless shelter was threatening the VOA staff member and
Mhm.
like telling her that he was going to kill her and stuff. And
Oh,
we got called over there to come escort him off the property. And once we got there, he was like pretty calm. And he asked me if he could go get his sweater before he leaves. And I was like, yeah, go walk to your bed and then we'll walk out the door. And we end up getting like halfway, and he stops and turns towards the lady that he was threatening and starts walking towards her. And I kind of like step in between her and him, and he tries to grab me and push me away. And so I grabbed him and I put him on the ground, and I held his hands behind his back because both of us didn't have our cuffs on us. And I was like, call the police. Like, I'll sit here and hold him until they get here. And everyone was like, "You did good." Like he would hurt her if he got his hands on her. And then I got called into my boss's office, and he's like, "I don't think you handled that situation well." And I was like, "Well, he touched me first. He assaulted me while threatening and telling this VOA member that he was going to kill her. So I think I handled the situation appropriately." Um, and he obviously didn't think the same. So
Oh man.
that kind of got in the way of employment there.
But in either way, sometimes with a job like that, when things don't, when you lose the job, but you know you helped someone in the process,
Hmm.
as long as you feel right about what you did, I think in the long run, you're even if you didn't do that and say you kept the job, you'd always look back and wish you would have done things differently. So if you did what you felt was right in the moment, even if you lost your job, uh, I still feel like it probably was the right thing to do.
I think so. I mean, I don't regret it. Even when I went back there as a homeless person,
What
every
was that like? Going back to the shelter you worked at after becoming homeless
so
as a client, as they say.
the first time it was kind of weird. It was me and my buddy Devin.
Hmm.
Um, and it was kind of weird because I knew everyone there. Like it wasn't that long after that I had to go there
Yeah.
than that I worked there, so it was still the same staff members.
Did
Um,
anybody treat you differently
way
or
better than everyone else. Yeah,
okay.
but I did. I was a respectful person, and I did what they needed done. You know, I asked them. I would come out every night, and I'd help them pass out the dinners to everyone, and then I'd sit down and eat my dinner, go smoke my cigarette, and go to sleep so I could go to work the next day. Um, I'd help them take out trash, like whatever they needed done.
Yeah.
Like if I'm free and I'm not at work and I'm here not sleeping, then yeah, put me to use because I don't like just sitting around and doing nothing. Um, and so they all respected that a lot. But that was when I was with Devin, and then when I went back there by myself, um, after I got out of jail, and it was like more. I just stuck to myself. I didn't do nothing. Like I would go there to sleep, and then I'd leave and go work my 12-hour shift at the taxi company, and then come back and sleep, and I'd save all my money, and eventually, like a month into staying there the second time, I had enough money to get out of the Cares campus and go into a apartment in downtown Reno.
And at that point, that's when you had custody of your son?
No, no. So CPS still had custody. I didn't get custody back of my son till October or November of last year.
Okay.
And I had him full time by myself August 1st because that was the same day that I went to start working for the GSR.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like a first day for both of us, you know? And so I went and dropped him off at daycare, and then I went to work, and that was good for, I think I worked there for about 3 months. And then something with my gaming card was messed up and I couldn't get it. And so they had to let me go, and I went back to the taxi company, um, and worked there for until I left Reno. You know, I left Reno maybe 2 weeks after I lost my job there. And then I moved to Carson, and like now I don't even like coming to Reno
Yeah.
ever. Like,
Well, thanks for coming out here today to share your story, dude. I appreciate it. And back when we did all that stuff, and we raised the funds, and there was that long period of time of you guys basically. I mean, you were off the streets because you weren't in a tent somewhere.
mhm.
And that's where all the funds went, was in hotels and traveling and all this stuff to hopefully find a place to live where Rebecca wanted to at the time.
Yeah, and
Eh,
I mean the the money was used. I don't want to say well because it really wasn't used well, but because of that money, I got to experience my son be born, and I got to see this in one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Portland, Oregon is freaking amazing. Like it's
yeah.
just green everywhere, and yeah, the streets are filled with drug addicts and stuff. I get it, but I mean, if you can look past all that stuff, like Oregon's a really beautiful place.
No, it is. It's gorgeous. And I mean, at one point, you guys are going all over trying to find where you want to settle down and where you want to live. And I'm hoping to help you get into a place and pay that first month or whatever
Mhm.
deposit. And Eventually, after, striking out all over, you guys ended up back down here again.
Yeah.
And the best thing I saw out of that whole process was that Caspian, your son,
Mhm.
was still there. You guys had him, um, and then things kind of changed, and you guys split ways.
Yeah.
And now you still have Caspian. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that went on and happened in the process, but at the end result right now is you're doing well.
Mhm.
You're on the right track. You have your son in your life, and you're now working with Nation's Finest, right,
Mhm.
to help get into a place.
Hopefully give me another job.
And you were just working, and now you're looking for work again. You're not
Mhm.
giving up. You're going at it. You're staying strong.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's a choice in it.
Yeah,
I
you
don't.
got to take care of your little guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just at the end of the day, as long as he has a good life, my life will be pretty good.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
No,
I
that's what you got something bigger to live for now, and
I
it's
just
him, and it's awesome.
yeah.
Like, I want to hear your side of the story as far as being homeless and your experience out there and things that you might have seen that people that live inside would never experience or never see.
Mhm.
Things that might be shocking, things that might you would never expect. Is there anything like that happened to
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I mean, homeless or not, Reno's a pretty dangerous place.
Yeah.
Homeless, it's a lot more dangerous because you don't have somewhere that you can lock your door at night, and um, so I mean, it gets pretty defensive out there, and I was definitely a different kind of person when I was with Rebecca being homeless than when I was by myself being homeless because
Yeah.
when I'm by myself, I'm not worried about protecting someone, just worried about protecting myself. And that's a lot easier for me to do. I can go to sleep, and if something happens, I can wake up and in my vicinity, I'm good. When Rebecca was out there with me, it was different because I didn't want to like fight people anymore. I wanted to like just maintain a low profile and not have to do any of the bullshit like fighting people and getting angry at people
Yeah.
because it just sapped a lot of energy from me. And being homeless, like I stopped drinking, I stopped doing a lot of stuff, and um, so I didn't feel the need to do it. When I was homeless by myself, I was drinking every day, and I was like an aggressive person in general, which led me to do a lot of stuff that I maybe did want to do at the time, but probably shouldn't have done. All the fights that I got in, all the um, things that I did when I was homeless, even if I thought it was to protect myself or protect the people that I care about. Um, like I saw a bad side of me, and I don't want to see that side again, especially because I have my son
Mhm.
and I want him to see like his daddy the hero, and not his daddy the person that beats people up because they piss him off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good example to lead by is be the one who's patient and
Hmm.
hear people out and try to overcome things with a conversation rather
Yeah.
than your fists,
Yeah.
and the easiest way, the quickest way is usually just go for it and fight
Yeah.
it out. But
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's the only way. And I'm not going to say
occasionally,
like
yeah.
violence sometimes is the answer. There's a lot of lessons that I've learned in my life that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't get beat up for it.
Mm,
And so it's like, but there's an extent to it,
yeah.
Like if you're fighting someone and they say they're done, let them be done. Okay, that's good. You want to extend it to the point where they're not a threat to you anymore.
Hmm.
And that's where you stop it. And then if you go past that, then I 100% believe, yes, you should be in jail because you can't control your anger enough to like every time I got into a fight, I never hospitalized anyone. I never did anything like that. I would fight them, and I every once in a while I'd be like, "Are you okay? Are you done? Like you can walk away now, or you can keep being aggressive with me and then you get beat up more."
Hmm.
Life's about choices. And even my son, like, I know kids get bullied and stuff. And I know that, being the mother and father figure for him, I'm going to have to not get mad and like teach him how to deal with that instead of being like, no, just go punch him in the face.
Yeah, well, being the mother figure is something you probably never imagined
No,
yourself being, huh?
yeah, definitely not.
But
Um,
being a single dad, you don't have a choice anymore.
And I think, I'm not a very emotional person. If anyone that has seen the video of me
Yeah.
when you gave us the cart, I'm not a hugger. I don't like physical affection, but when it comes to him, it's like completely thrown away out of my head. Like, you touch me, do whatever you want, like climb all over me, and freaking, like, even last night I couldn't sleep. And because we're in, like, usually he sleeps in a crib when he's with me, and there's no way I'm putting the crib in our motel room and it still fit everything else that we have in it.
Yeah.
And so he's sleeping in the bed with me, and he only cuddles me if, like, it's super cold. And last night it wasn't super cold and he was still cuddling with me, and I, like, rolled over and, like, cuddled with him and snuggled him up. And I don't do that with people. Like,
No, but it's your son. It's different.
and I feel like we're the same. Like, I can understand him in a way that other people don't understand, even like my family that spends time with him. Like, I'll tell him to do something and they're like, "Oh, he's a baby. He doesn't know." And I'm like, "That's freaking lie." Because I tell him to do it at home and he does it. So
Before I met you guys out there, and you knew you had, well, you didn't know you had a son yet, but you knew you had a kid on the way.
thought it was a daughter,
Thought it was a
a
daughter.
Naira.
And what did you envision your life down the road like with your kid when you were homeless?
I figured that I would get my stuff together. I obviously, when I was homeless, thought that it would be with her.
Mhm.
But I mean, I was young, and even though it was only 2 years ago, like, my mindset has changed a lot
I could
since then.
tell. Yeah.
And um, I knew that even trying to get back together with her after I got out of jail, um, was I thought in my heart that that was the right thing to do, because you're my son's mom, and I do love you, but I know that we weren't meant for each other. We made a beautiful kid,
Mhm.
one of the most amazing children I've ever seen, and um, I know that me and her can't be together, and I wish that she would get her life together so that he can know his mom. But I mean, after what I went through and how hard I fought to get him back and to be able to make decisions for his life, um, it's going to take a lot to prove to me that anyone is good enough to be in his life.
Yeah.
Because I grew up without a dad, and that it affected me for a long time, even though I might not have showed it. Like, mentally, that messes you up. You think that you're not good enough,
Mhm.
and I promised myself since I was a kid that I would never let my son feel the way that I felt growing up, that I will always be in his life, and or I'll be dead. Like,
Well,
stuff could happen,
but
but
no, as long as you're here on this earth, you're
as
gonna
long
be
as
there
I
for
as
him.
long as I'm breathing, I'm going to be in his life. And
Yeah.
I tell him every night that he doesn't have a choice, because
No, it's
I'm your
true.
dad, and it's like, you could do anything in the world, and yes, I might get mad at you for it, or I might show you that that's the wrong thing to do, but I'm always going to be supportive.
Yeah.
And my son's always going to know that, as long as I have a house, he is welcome in that house. As long as I have time, I will go to the ends of the earth to
Even if
do.
he becomes kind of a lot like you were and
Well,
tries
then
to
he can get beat up too. That's fine. That's fine. I had to get beat up to learn my place, and
Yeah.
like, growing up, you can't avoid fighting. Like, the stuff's gonna happen, especially in a town like this.
Mhm.
Even in Carson City. Um, but I know that he's gonna grow up to be strong, and he's gonna grow up to know right from wrong,
Yeah.
and that's all I can ask for. He's gonna make his own decisions. I can't control that, but I know he's gonna be an amazing, amazing person.
Did you ever think you'd end up being a single dad? I mean, when you go back 4 or 5 years ago, did you
Uh,
even wanna be a dad?
yeah, yeah. I've always wanted kids.
Okay.
I want a daughter too.
Yeah.
Um, Having him kind of, I still do want a daughter at some point, because there's nothing like the daddy's little girl,
Oh, yeah, I know all about that.
and I watch movies. Movies are like the only thing that can get me emotional, and I only watch them with Caspian, because
Yeah.
if he sees me cry, that's one thing. I'm watching the movie.
I
Okay.
sure love my little girl, man. She's so cool. She's
Mhm.
awesome. Never I did not I didn't want to be a parent. I didn't think I was ever going to have kids. I just didn't really see it in my future.
Yeah.
And it happened. And it's been one of the coolest things in the world.
Mhm.
She's amazing. She's so cool. I love her so much.
I'll tell you
Um,
this much, I prefer having my kid with the mother that I have right now because, um, the I feel like if it was a girl, she would have taken after her, and
oh,
I don't wanna do that. I feel like having a girl is like you need to have the right person.
well, back to your experiences and everything that you've been through. What's some things you learned living out there on the streets, man?
Um, Honestly, be caring for people because, you'll never know when you need help.
Yeah,
There's so many homeless people that I remember while I was out there that, were just, like, good people, like, that would share their food with us, and, like, they didn't have a lot and, like, barely anything,
but it
and
made a
and they
big
would
difference.
and they
Just
would give us food, and, like, while, yeah, they're homeless and they all, like, have a certain characteristic about them, like, they're all a group, you
did
know?
you was it surprising to see how much homeless people took care of each other?
For me, yeah, because 'cause I've always, like, seen the worst in the world,
Yeah,
and so I think that my whole thing was, like, people are assholes, they're dicks, and you need to either, protect yourself from them and, like, build that wall, or you need to make them not dicks, and I guess, at the time, it was just easier for me to build that wall,
but
and
you learned a lot about people.
I learned that this, not everyone, is feeling the way that they're portraying it,
Yeah,
because I got mad a lot and I would, just react,
yeah,
and I've seen now, like I told you when we were at breakfast about the other day, the guy at the storage unit, he was just having a bad day, and my past self would
probably would have snapped right then and
I would
there.
have knocked him out immediately once especially with my son in the back seat. Like once he like started saying that kind of stuff, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna knock you out and then I'm gonna drive on my way. And it was so much better for me to just like pull over and be like talk to him,
Yeah,
and I try to do that a lot. I hold doors open for people when I have Caspian with me. I mean, I do it in general, but like I try to emphasize it when Caspian's with me because I do want him to be raised properly and to be a gentleman and to, regardless of who it is, hold the door for them
yeah,
or
and don't expect a thank you every time or anything. You
yeah,
just do it because it's the right thing to do.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I feel like him seeing that from me because I can't understand what he's saying, but I feel like out of everyone in his life, he looks to me to like know what to do. Like I see it every single day. I teach him stuff.
yeah.
I took him to the hills and he was running in the dirt and he fell and he got like a bunch of sand on his hands. And he walked up to me to wipe him off for him. And I was like, no. I was like, do it yourself, dude. Wipe him off. And he looked at me and then looked back at his hands and then looked at me. And then he was like, and the dirt was off. And I was like,
Doesn't that
good
feel
job,
it
dude.
feels so cool seeing that stuff?
And,
Yeah.
and it's like, so I know he's an intelligent kid, which is different for me because I was not an intelligent kid. I had to learn everything that I know. And like when I was younger, all the way up till like I started preschool, I was a klutz and I was stupid and I did stuff that I probably shouldn't have done. And
Yeah.
but I mean, I can see that he like wants to learn the stuff and it's just hard to teach them because they don't know what anything means.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I try to show him, like he loves balls. Like I have a green ball for him in the car. And every time he gets in the car, he's like, ball. And I'll grab his backpack and I'll be like, backpack. And I'll take the backpack off and I'll put it under his seat. And then I'll be like, sippy cup. And he'll hand it to me and I'll put it in his cup holder. And then I'll be like, ball. And I'll be like, let me put you in your seat first.
Yeah.
And
That's funny.
it's freaking amazing to see. It trips me out because he looks so much like me.
Yeah.
And so it like messes with my brain. And I'm like, you are literally like me, just 2 feet tall.
Well, now having your son, you're gonna, you have a lot more to live for. You have a lot
Mhm.
more that you have. more goals. You want to go more places in life because you want to give him a better life down the road. So overall, being a dad has made you a better person, right? I mean, it happens
Yeah.
to a lot of people. It's really common. I myself, I didn't really care about much and well, other than myself and having a good time and
Mhm.
making sure I was covered wherever I needed to be covered. But then my daughter came in the picture, and I was like, "Whoa, I got to plan my future a little bit more now."
Yeah.
Now things are a little bit different. I got somebody else counting on me, so it
And
changes your perspective for sure.
I believe that, like, and I think about it a lot. Like, I feel like it made my life easier because now I know what I have to do,
That's cool.
and when I didn't have him, I could do whatever I wanted. And yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool, but there was never like an end game. It was always like just live day by day. And now I look at it and I'm like, well, one day I'm gonna watch this kid walk down the aisle and get his diploma. I'm gonna
yeah,
see him go to college. I'm gonna get to be there for his first baseball game. Like, and I want to do that for him. And I want to be successful so that if he does come to me, he's like, Mom or Dad, I've met this freaking amazing girl and I want to marry her. I want to be able to provide him with that,
yeah.
because I'm probably not going to get a very nice wedding when I do eventually get married. And
Yeah, you don't
that's
need
just
one
the
though.
thing for it.
Yeah,
Like, but I'm cool with that.
you want to be able to provide it
I
for
love who
him.
I love, and if I don't have a lot of people anyway. So it's like if we did do a big wedding, my side would be very limited, So I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
I know
Like,
that feeling, man. Nah, I just have a call. I have a small circle nowadays.
mhm.
I'm sure if I put it all over the internet, everybody would show up. But as far
Yeah,
as who I
100%.
have in my tight
If you
circle,
made a video and you're like, this date,
yeah,
come
for
here,
sure, I'd have a lot of love,
that would
a
probably
lot of
be a
people
very
that would.
terrible wedding. You
It
would
would be
not
a
be able to
kind of
move.
a mess. Yeah, it'd be a lot to deal with. I want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I know you've experienced a lot of stuff in your time that you were outside and everything you went through. What's one of the scariest stories?
Mm, I mean, so this was before we were homeless, like right before, or I guess I was homeless and then moved in with her.
Hmm.
Um, but it was while I lived with her, and we were heading home on the bus with one of our friends from where I was homeless at. I think he left something at her apartment, and he wanted to come back and get it. So we were heading to her apartment, and this kid was on the back of the bus, and thankfully no one got hurt in this, or okay, one person got hurt in this story, but um, so he was like in the back of the bus, and we were in like the first row up the steps, and we were just sitting there talking, and I heard him say something, and I turn around, and him and his white friend have like these freaking giant bags of weed
Mm.
trying to sell them to some old men on the back of the bus. And I was like, hey man, you might want to put that away. You look a little young. I don't want you to get in trouble. And apparently the kid didn't like that I said that to him. And he's like, I'm a grown ass man. I could do what I want, and saying all this stuff. And I was about to turn around because I didn't know how old he was or anything. Like, he was just yelling stuff to get me pissed off. And I was about to turn around and smack him. And he like lifted up his shirt. And I didn't even see that he had it, but he lifted up his shirt, and Rebecca saw it. And she was like, he has a gun. Like, leave it alone. And so I sat there, and, I'm not trying to get shot. I'm not trying to get her shot. So I sat there, and she had a taser in her backpack, and I just had it in my hand in case he was going to do something, at least I'd be ready with something. Um, she ends up getting on the phone with the police, and she gets a hold of him, and we see the cop car turn around with the lights on and pull the bus over. And so we walk up to the front of the bus, and she tells the driver what's going on. And then she walks off the bus, and the black kid came up behind me and like pushed past our friend and pushed past me and to get off the bus. And so I like took a step, and think the cop was out there. And so once he like went off the door and saw the cop, he turned around and came back in and reached for into his pants.
Oh, really?
And so he was like right next to me. And so I grabbed his arm and I got him into a chokehold, and I just slammed my back down and freaking started choking him out. And she was outside yelling at the cop, like, hey, hey, my boyfriend's got him in a chokehold. Like, don't shoot the dude that's winning. And so we ended up, having to sit there, fill out statements and stuff. I got up. The old men were trying to beat me up too. It was kind of weird.
What?
Yeah, then he was like, "Leave him alone." I was like, "He just tried to pull a gun out on a pregnant lady and her boyfriend, and you're defending
Yeah.
him? Like, all right, whatever." And then that pissed me off because he grabbed his cane and he hit me in the head with it
Oh man.
while I was on the ground choking this kid out. And so I
Did
like
it
got
even
up.
hurt or
No,
you're
I didn't even like. I
yeah.
felt like a bump, and
Probably
I
so
was like,
much
"What the heck?"
adrenaline
And
rushing
that's
right then too.
and the cop was right next to me, and I pushed the kid to the cop because he was like freaking almost asleep.
Mhm.
And then I got up hella mad at the old dude, and the old dude like was walking back to his seat, and I was like, "All right." And I saw his friend right there, and he had the bag of weed too. And because of what your friend did, I'm just gonna assume that you might have a gun as well. And so I looked at him and I was like, "You need to get off the bus too, or I'm gonna beat the crap out of you as well." And so he walked off the bus and, put his hands out for the cops to arrest him. And then we had to stay there and fill out statements. The bus stayed there and waited for us. And we, like, it was a big deal. The chief of police came out and was like, "Thank you for making our community a better place," and all this stuff. I was like, "I didn't do it for you, dude. I didn't want to get shot." And even a cop went up to her and was like, "So he thought you said he had a gun, and then he thought he had a gun, and he still went after him?" And she's like, "Yeah." She, like, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Getting shot in the head? Like, I don't. I feel like he'd want to fight back first.
No, that's a I mean, at the end of the day, you're helping a lot of people. Something like that happens, taking action and doing stuff, but it's very dangerous. So it's not
Yeah,
something that you would recommend anybody does in that moment in time. But if you're willing to do it on your own, and like that's on you, you take that
if he
risk. But
if he
it
would have just stood there and let the cop take him, nothing would have happened. My only
but
thing
when he
is
runs
like,
back in reaching for it,
well, for some, I don't know if maybe he was like reaching for the weed to throw it under the seat. I don't know, but like,
either way,
I know where the gun was, and you were reaching in that area, so I'm not pulling that. I'm not playing those games.
yeah.
Like I'm not gonna have some bullshit kid start killing people because he wants to act tough. That's
No,
not
I
how
mean,
this life works.
overall, the outcome was everybody left. Everybody
Yeah,
walked off that bus.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
not bad. Not bad.
And that was probably like I have so many with her of like what happened. Like we used to do voter registration, or no, it was canvassing for the Democratic Party. We were going to door and like asking them who they're voting for and stuff. And we were over by Paradise Park,
Uh huh.
over off of Audie, and we were just walking through. We were going to sit down and eat our lunch and smoke some weed, and this two dudes were fighting in the parking lot, and we were just gonna let it go because they weren't really doing nothing. Like my version of fighting is different from other people's because a lot of people don't know how to fight.
Hmm.
And so I was watching them and I was like, these dudes are like either drunk because they're just walking around each other and like stumbling. So I don't know what was going on. And then um she ended up like walking up because I guess something happened, and she ended up walking up and she's like, "If you guys aren't gonna fight, like just stop. Like there's people walking through the park." And she said something like that. And I was holding all our stuff and I put it down, and there was a group of homeless people right next to him. And I was like just trying to she went to one dude and I went to the other dude to talk to the other dude. And the other dude was hella cool. And he's like, "Yeah, this dude's just messing with our group." And I'm like, I told him to stop and he wanted to fight. And I was like, "Okay, like, well, it's over. Freaking, we'll get him to leave you guys alone." And so she walked up and he looked at her with like a kind of look that's like the I don't want to say it on here, like the like bad look. He
Yeah.
looked like he wanted to do stuff.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and
That's
so
not
she
good.
warned him. She did warn him because she's seen what I do. And she was like, gave her that look, and then he like stepped towards her, and she's like, "You don't want to do that." And so I was like standing off to the side, just got finished talking to the other dude, and he was walking back to his friends, and then he goes to grab her, and she's like, "I'm not the one." And right after she said that, I hit him in the face and knocked him out
Hmm.
with one hit.
One
One hit.
hit.
Yeah, I
That's
hit him
it.
in the face and he just ding and just dropped backwards. And then I did get a little mad, so I might have added a couple hits in there once he was on the ground. But um and I've seen him since that day.
Are you guys okay if you've seen
He
him?
was wasted, I guess.
He
He
doesn't even remember.
I talked to him and I was like, "I'm sorry that it went down that way, but, like, you didn't really give me too many options there in terms of, like, you were trying to go after the woman that's pregnant with my kid."
Yeah.
And so, and he was completely cool. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got really drunk and I don't remember what happened." And I was like, "Well, I'm sorry that I did that to your face, dude, but, like, don't get that drunk if you can't handle your alcohol." Um, and he was actually, like, a really, like, genuine dude. Freaking I wish that it would've ended up differently, but,
Just a bad day, huh?
I mean, you can't change the past.
Yeah.
So,
So, now you say you watch all my videos and,
yeah.
you've turned into a pretty big fan. And I appreciate all of that a lot. It means a lot to me to know that not only were you in some of the videos
Mhm,
and, we know each other pretty well and built a relationship, but you also still watch everything and
mhm.
enjoy it.
Caspian does too.
That's cool.
He likes watching it with me.
What advice you got for me, man? How do you think I could
Um
do better?
Oh, I don't. Man, you you do amazing, dude.
Thank you.
Like, I wish that I could do for this world and this community what you do.
Did my
Um,
time, the time that I spent with you, and getting to know each other,
changed my life.
it did.
Yeah, 100%. I
In what
wouldn't
way?
I think, the amount that you cared about us, because it's not just like you're doing this for the fans and for the views on Facebook or freaking YouTube.
Yeah.
Like you go out there and you actually care about people, regardless of whether there's a camera on your freaking body or whatever.
Mhm.
Like even when we went to breakfast, there was no camera.
Yeah.
You still showed that genuine care for me
Yeah, we had like
of
a
like
2-hour breakfast, man. We
and did
talked
not eat any food at all.
I know I was like, "Dude, eat your food."
Caspian ate all that stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But no, I
Freaking
thanks, man. It's good that you recognize that. I mean, not that I think a lot of people do, but the people on the other side don't see it, So, it's
well, I mean, you go around every day trying to make people's lives better. It's only fair that people try and
I
make your
do
life
take a
better
day or
too.
2 off here or there now. In the past, I didn't. But yeah, no, that's life now. That's it. Even if I'm taking a day off, and I see somebody, I've always been this way. I've always liked to talk to people and try to enlighten them or see what's going on or hear them out and listen.
Mhm,
I've always been that way, always. But being able to use it for something bigger and build something where I can help more people and do it all
mhm.
the time instead of for some other company to help train people for their positions that they're probably going to fire anyway. Uh, Feels really good. It feels really good. I
And you
enjoy what I do.
and you do it on your terms.
Yeah,
Like and you need to because we don't need another another what happened with her.
I learned
Um,
my lessons. You guys were the second fundraiser I ever did. Um, and it's difficult, and from now on there's always kind of a clause if I ever do a GoFundMe for somebody,
mhm,
and that clause is just simply like if anything comes up in the case of unforeseen events, this money will be used to help other people, that kind of a thing.
yeah.
Because if people aren't pulling their weight, if they aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, if it isn't going to any way to benefit them, to help them long term, then yeah, no, it's got to go to somebody else who's ready to do something,
Well,
to pull their hand.
you can't give people motivation, man. Like you
Everybody has to want to do it
you have to
themselves.
want to make your life better. And I didn't want to until Caspian was born. And then once I wanted to, and this might just be like a man thing,
But
but once I wanted to, nothing got in my way.
yeah,
I would hit obstacles and I would just plow through them.
did it not hit you until you saw him? Like, you knew he was coming, but when you really saw him in the world as a person,
It
um,
was the most emotional day of my life. Like
yeah.
it was she was asleep.
I remember, I think we were on the phone for a little bit of it, or a day or 2
I,
before and after,
I
like
think I called you the day that he was coming,
yeah.
like right before we were getting ready for the surgery and stuff. Um, but yeah, it was like because my whole thing was like be there for her because she is the one that's giving birth to this baby, but she was asleep the whole time.
Yeah.
Not the whole time, but a lot of the time she was asleep. And when she wasn't asleep, she was in pain. So I would like stay by her to comfort her. Um, and I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but once he came out, he didn't cry at first until they got him over to the table.
Yeah.
I couldn't see him at all. I just saw the shadows behind the curtain, and I heard him cry, and it was like, "Bring me my baby."
Yeah.
like hands up. I was like, "Bring him to me now." And they were, super cool about it. They knew ahead of time that it was my first kid and that I was going to get emotional about it. Um, and they brought him to me and I held him and his skin was touching my skin. My skin's the first skin that baby touched outside the womb. Um, and I broke down. I don't like crying in front of people, but I broke down and was talking to him and I was like, I'm never gonna leave you and like you're the most amazing thing in the world. And I just hope that you're always gonna be proud of me. And I was just telling him all this stuff. And eventually I had to give him back so they could do all the stuff. But
You knew right then
um
and there that was like your life was very different in a good
yeah.
way, and you had this new goal and passion in life to just be there for your son.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dream a lot, but when I do dream, it's like of the future of what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Um,
What is that?
it all involves him,
Good.
regardless of the path. I've seen, I mean, the United States isn't doing too well right now, so I
Yeah.
mean, I can't plan too far into the future, but I mean, if we do survive, then like no matter what path I take, what job I take, where I live, like it's always him, regardless of wherever I'm at. He's always the one that's there.
What
Um,
what message do you have to, other single dads out there that might be going through anything like living in their car or trying to make ends meet or don't know how they're going to do it, I mean, and I'm not saying that um you're a rich, crazy, successful man, but you're getting through it and you're doing very well.
yeah.
And you have some insight that might be able to help somebody. What do you have to say?
I would say, and I get this because I see a lot of single dads. There's not a lot of resources for us. I was lucky enough to have served in the army and
Mhm.
get the resources from that in order to help me in my situation right now. But not everyone's like that. And I was also lucky enough to, I'm okay with being a single dad. But a lot of single dads out there aren't fighting, they're fighting for their kids.
Yeah.
And the mom keeps the kids away, or the mom's like making it difficult for him to be in his children's life. And I didn't really have to go through that. I did for a short period of time, and then CPS hit, and I just worked with him. And I never stopped pushing myself forward so that I could get him back. And CPS saw that. And like the main thing is, first off, be yourself, because if you're motivated, if you're creative, and if you have the will to want to do better for your life, then you're going to get there.
Yeah.
You're going to hit bumps. That's life. You're going to have struggles, you're going to have failures, and you're going to take those failures, learn from them, and push forward so that you can be a better father for your kids, because regardless of what happens, like it's not your life anymore. Your main job as a man in general is to provide for the people that come after you, because then they turn into men and they provide for the people that come after them. Like that's the whole
Being a provider.
that's what being a man is about. Um and just don't give up, because there's times that I've wanted to. There's times that the stress has gotten. I've never had to deal with like hardcore stress before.
Yeah.
Um, or
But
at
this has
least, or
brought
at least
some.
it's a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
The physical stress and the emotional stress is different.
No, you could do all sorts of things, but seeing your child get hurt or deal with being sick or
Hmm.
that just is different.
Yeah.
There's no way to explain it. It's just different.
Hmm. I would tell him to just love your kid
Yeah.
as much as you possibly can. Give them all the love in the world, and trust that one day that love and that nurturing is going to raise them into an amazing person that's going to be able to change the world, maybe. But regardless of whether they changed the world or not, they changed your life. And
Yeah.
that's enough to make that warranted for you to do that, because your life will never be the same. You'll live a good life as long as you live it through your children and you make sure that you get to see them do all the stuff that you never got to do.
I'm so happy to see you where you're at right now, bro. Like, I mean, I know I've known you a long time, and um, I think you're really doing great. I do. I could sense that you're on the right path, and you're gonna go places. And you'll again bumps in the road. You will have those, but you're not giving up. Your train's going. It ain't stopping.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know what it means, but I'm proud of you for sure.
It actually means a lot. I don't get
What
too many people
what
saying it.
advice? Sorry to stop you there.
No, go for
What advice would you give to yourself if you could go back?
it.
Not like way back, but like when the homelessness started and when you were going through what you were. If you could go back now and tell yourself something, what would you say?
Mm, it's worth it. I wouldn't change anything. Like
Do you
I
think you'd listen to yourself?
no, probably not.
You'd probably want to punch yourself knowing how you were.
That would be a good fight. Um,
You finally met your match kind of thing, huh?
yeah,
Oh,
no, I would. I probably wouldn't listen to myself, but I would definitely not change anything if it means that I get to have my son for the rest of my life. A lot of things happened, and I could have probably made my life a lot easier if I would have just left or if I would have um, just stopped caring.
yeah.
But I think about that a lot, and it's like, if that would have happened, the best thing in my life that I've ever had wouldn't be here. I
Yeah.
would I would lose him. And I even like see videos on Facebook of like, would you rather take like have 1 month to live, or you go back 10 years and you can fix your mistakes and stuff, or you can live out your life the way you did. And it's like, I look at that and I'm like, why I would much rather like have the month with my son,
Yeah.
because it's like if I go back and I don't have him, then there's that really, and I can remember having him, then I wouldn't live with myself ever.
No.
That's less than a month for me to live anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like,
That's a difficult one. You don't hope, I mean, you don't want to have to think like that. Like, and you shouldn't hope. I think as long as you stay on track and things go well, like you're always going to have your son in your life one way or another. But at the same time, you keep doing what you're doing and you're going to be able to provide a really good life for him and yourself.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I don't have any regrets.
that's
I
good.
wish I would have been a nicer person earlier,
But it
but
made you who you are today, and you're slowly becoming nicer all the time.
I try to be.
You are.
You-
I could tell. You're a lot more patient than you used to be. And I mean,
Having a
it
kid,
shows. Having a kid
having a
does
kid
that.
does that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
What's your message to the world, Jared?
Just be kind. I want to see peace on earth, and it's like we do a lot of messed up stuff to each other,
This is coming
and
from a guy that used to beat people up and start fights all over the place. So
yeah.
I think that carries some weight.
Also coming from a guy that um, signed up to sacrifice himself for the country that he lives in, and
Peace and
I think
kindness is what really is going to make a difference.
I think that I won't tell anyone how to raise their children or what religion to look at, but I know that all of us are people
Yeah,
and we all bleed red. And
that's
so,
true.
like, at the end of the day, if we're really just fighting and killing each other, like, what's the point of life?
Where are we
You
getting?
know,
Yeah.
the world would be so much better if we just like came together. Like, imagine how many geniuses are out there that we don't even know about.
If we all just got along and treated each other fairly and were open minded and kind and
Respect.
listened more, things would be a lot better. I agree with that. I
Yeah.
do. Um, well, dude, we're pretty much to the end of this thing, man.
All right. Yeah.
What is there anything you want to ask me? I mean, we're here right now.
You don't regret doing it
No,
with with
I
how
don't.
it ended up.
I don't regret how things went with you guys. I mean, of course, hindsight's always 2020. I wish I would have been a little more stern on certain things, but at the time, this is what it's what you guys wanted to do, and I was in full support of that. Even if
Mhm.
I didn't agree with every decision, I still saw there being a good outcome. And overall, at the time when it was over with us, and Caspian was still there,
Mhm.
and you guys had your son, to me, that was a positive outcome. No, I don't regret it. And just like you said, I mean, in a way, somehow we ended up where you are at right now with your son in your life and doing well. And I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither.
All right. Well, one more question, dude.
Mm.
Hug or a handshake?
All right. Yeah, you know you're getting a hug.
You said he's not a hugger.